What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to do another Saturday Night Live discussion. Today we're going to talk about how you got back into Transformers. So for some people, they might have never gotten out of Transformers. Me personally, I didn't really have a huge collection. I wasn't collecting regularly. It was just something that I had a little bit on the side. But for the most part, wasn't collecting. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to tell you, kind of my story of where I went with collecting. And let me see. We got 12 people online with us right now. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you my story. You guys can eventually, I'm going to ask you for your stories and I'll read the comments. I know a couple people posted already some of their comments. So just give me a little second to kind of catch up on, giving you a little history on me. I have a couple of housekeeping things. So let me just show you some stuff. So since you're joining me live, you get the treat of seeing some stuff that's coming up on my channel. So these are exclusive things I haven't showed yet anywhere. So this, obviously this is MP36 Megatron, nothing new there, but what's new are these effect parts. I'm going to be reviewing these on my channel. It comes with this blast part. So if you open up his gun here, extend it like that, and then you put this in. Pretty cool. So we're going to do a full review on this. I just wanted to show you that this is something that's coming up. He also has this smoke effect here, which is kind of neat. So we're going to take a look at this soon, this coming week. As you guys know, it is Chinese New Year right now. So it's always a dreaded time for reviewers like myself because it's 3 to 4 weeks of nothingness, like just nothing comes out, everything is delayed. This year is even worse because we've got the pandemic and that's going to slow everything down. So the factory is starting back up. It's going to take a while. So unfortunately, it's just going to be a while until we have third-party figures. So next week, I'm going to be doing a lot of those, what I just showed you, these effects parts and stuff like that. And then I also have some retail stuff. So retail doesn't seem to stop for Chinese New Year. We still have retail things coming out. So I've got some cool stuff. Well, I don't know if it's cool. It's kind of cool. So we'll take a look at this. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Zarek, and Zork. We'll also take a look at some Cyberverse stuff. I know I don't normally look at Cyberverse, but since it's a light week, it's probably going to be a light couple of weeks. That's what we're going to look at. I do have the X-Transbots trailer coming. It's just kind of delayed. All right, so let me get into my story, and then I'll ask you guys. I will go back and read some of these comments that you guys already wrote, but try not to give me too many of your stories just yet because I'm going to have to catch up if you do. So my story. So I watched Transformers as a kid, obviously. Pretty much all of us did. Watched the 1980s cartoon. And I didn't have any toys. So my parents, I didn't come from a poor family. My family was middle class. But for whatever reason, they refused to buy Transformers. My dad, I didn't grow up poor. I grew up cheap. So my parents just didn't feel like buying action figures. So they pretty much never bought action figures. The only thing they would buy me is like cars. So like, little Matchbox cars or remote control cars or model cars, stuff like that. I loved cars. I was a big car fan. In fact, my whole life, even now, I'm still a fan of cars. But Transformers really, blew my mind because it combined the idea of cars with the robots. I've always loved cars and robots. I only just hide a few people. What's up, 49ers? Michael Rogers, thanks for joining. Sonic the Hedgehog, what's up? Steve Camilleri, Jersey's finest, Decepticon John, Winston, hey, what's up, Winston? Philip Martis and James Justice, thank you, Sledgehammer. All right, so so when I was a kid, I really didn't get any Transformers. The only thing I ever got was gifts. I got gifts from people, from family, or from friends. I got like 2 things. So the only things I ever owned were Cyclonus. I had a Cyclonus, which was then taken by my cousin. So I basically lost that. And then the only other thing I ever got was what do you call it? The pullback guy, Runabout. So I had one Decepticon. The reason I had it because it was cheap. It was super cheap. So those pullback ones. I think. Oh, charging. I forgot what they call them. Anyways, that's pretty much all I had. So when I became an adult, I was still interested in Transformers. Let me show you a little picture of my cheesy and horrible collection that I had. So this is pretty much all I had. I had a couple of GoBots right here. So that's Puzzler, if you don't know what that is. Then I had a Gundam right here. This is the Fall of Cybertron or War for Cybertron Optimus. And then back here, I've got like that gigantic Bumblebee that came out right around the first movie, way back. And then you can see there's a G1 Optimus right there. Right next to him is a Power Master Optimus. And that's it. That's really all I had. I didn't have a lot of stuff. That's kind of all I had. So right around that same time, I went to Walmart, and Walmart had these things called alternators. And that piqued my interest because, like I just mentioned, I'm a big car guy. I love cars. And those are like sports cars that turn into robots. And so that got me back in. I was back in with alternators. That's really what got me collecting again. For a long time, I would say probably 20 years, I wasn't collecting at all. So yeah, once I saw alternators, then I went to Walmart and I saw MP01, which was pretty awesome. That was the first time I'd seen something that big. MP01 was huge. It was pretty surprising. It wasn't the best, honestly. Looking back, hindsight, but it was cool. It was cool to see that they were making. I never knew that was going to turn into a line. I didn't know that was going to be a masterpiece line. So I bought MP01. I had a whole collection. I had I had like 26 alternators. I was into trading and collecting alternators for a long time. But it just wasn't G1 for me. It just wasn't what I like. Ultimately, I ended up selling the whole collection. I loved alternators, but it just didn't stick. It didn't stay with me. So I got rid of the alternators. I kept MP01, and I had an Optimus collection. And it was a very small Optimus collection. So I had like, G1 Optimus, MP01, and like a few other things. Then my wife, this is many years later. I got married, and then my wife bought me this. And this was from Toys R Us. This was the first masterpiece that I found in the United States at Toys R Us. And my wife bought 2 of them. So she hunted it down. She went to Toys R Us, found this, found they had put 2 on the shelf. There's 2 per store, which was crazy. You really had to find these guys. And she bought me 2 and gave it to me for my birthday. And she didn't know, but this was going to start 10 years of Transformers for me. So this was my first masterpiece. And then that was a wrap. Ever since then, everything you've seen on my shelves, it all started with this MP10. So my wife really was the one who got me into that. I really love this. I still love this figure. That's why I'll never sell this. No matter what Optimus comes out, MP44, TE01, doesn't matter. I still will keep this forever because of what it means, because of the nostalgia. So really for me, MP10 is what got me back into masterpiece collecting, got me into searching it out. It started my channel. Masterpiece started my channel. That's why I got into everything. So that's my story. Now I'm kind of interested to hear from you guys. So I'm going to scroll back a little bit and grab a couple of these stories here. So let's see. 49er says, the Transformers animation cartoon got me back. I just had a daughter also, so I started going to the toy aisle. And then, of course, the first movie. So, yeah, the first movie is interesting. I didn't watch animation, Transformers animated. I actually skipped a whole bunch of cartoons. So I watched the G1, and then I didn't watch anything. So I missed Beast Wars. I missed animated. I missed Transformers Prime. I missed pretty much all of that. And I only got back in, after all that stuff came out. Now I've gone back and watched Beast Wars. I've gone back and watched animated. Prime is a really good cartoon. If you haven't watched Prime, go back and watch Transformers Prime. I can't speak to animated. I haven't watched animated. Let's see. I bought my first Jazz. This is also 49ers. That was not a big time shell former, but for some reason at that time I didn't mind. Yeah, the shell forming thing has definitely become less and less accepted over time. Steve says, my wife got me a copy of the G1 cartoon for my birthday 1 year, and down that slippery slope I went. Okay, that's cool. So you actually got, I'm assuming you mean the DVDs, Steve, or like a copy of the video. I never watched, so I watched as many as I could as a kid. The first time I saw the entire season 1 all the way through, season 1, season 2, season 3, was as an adult, maybe like 30 years old. I'm 40 now, but at 30 years old, I finally got to see it all. So that's like 20 years after it came out. You know what I mean? So yeah, the cartoon definitely, for sure. Steve says, I ended up ordering a bunch of Blastifics of various MPs after your video. Oh, cool. Glad you got into that. All right, so now you guys can tell me what got you back in. If you ever stopped collecting, what got you back into collecting, or if you just always collected, just, how did your collecting change over time? So Dexter says, I was about 6 years old at my cousin's house. He was watching Transformers G1 More Than Meets the Eye Part 2, and I was hooked. Later on, I watched it with the family and friends. Okay, so More Than Meets the Eye, yeah, I mean, that's a great episode. But G1, I rewatched some of it. The movie, it's funny. I never got to see the 1986 movie, and I finally got it on Blu-ray as an adult, as a 30-year-old adult, and got to rewatch it. And now I love that movie. It's such a good movie. But yeah, rewatching it, it's always fun. Michael Rogers, alternators. Dude, I had Ricochet. Yeah, I loved alternators. I think it was a great line. I mean, they were ahead of their time. They were basically masterpiece. They didn't get the robots quite right, but they were masterpiece level for the cars, for sure. So Steve says, lots of go-abouts for me as a kid. My parents didn't want to pay for the expensive toys. Yeah, same here. My parents, I actually had a couple of go-bots. I didn't have many Transformers. James Dust's Sledhammer says, I didn't get Transformers or go-bots and He-Man. Dad and Mom got for me. I was just happy to get what they got me. What they got me cost just as much. So after I graduated high school, I started collecting. Okay. Yeah, so same here. Like, I mean, my parents bought me some stuff, but usually it was the cheaper stuff. Philip says, alternators, exactly how I got back in. Oh, good. Dodge Ram Prime. Yeah, I loved that Dodge Ram Prime. It was awesome. Chevy Corvette, Battle Ravage, Dodge Viper, Sideswipe, Subaru Impreza Smokescreen. I loved that Subaru Impreza. That WRX was so cool. Great memories. Yes, for me too. Lucky Hands. Hey, welcome to the show. I don't think I've seen you before. I found MPO1, then Starscream, and Fans Toys Cake Wave. I was hooked after that. So I didn't find Fans Toys until much, much later. I found MPO1 when it showed up in the store at Walmart, the American version. Fans Toys, I must have found maybe 6 or 7 years later. I wish I had discovered Fans Toys then, because now I had to pay late tax on a couple of things. For the most part, I got in pretty early. I got in at Phoenix, Fans Toys Phoenix, which I have right here, right behind me. You can see my custom back there. Dexter, MPO was my first MP. It got also at Walmart. Yes, Walmart. Remember the days when Walmart had such awesome Transformers? Yeah. BB03 says a live-action movie came out when I was 3. That's how I fell in love. I collected a few figures here and there, but nothing serious. But I saw this one stop motion a few years later when I matured. Yeah, MPO1 really, the live-action movie really, I think, reinvigorated the whole brand. For as much as I really hate Bayverse, I really hate the design, that original movie did light a fire for me. I think it did. It got me back into it for sure. I hated the designs, but it definitely has its place. It's part of history. We can't deny that Michael Bay did something for the Transformers franchise, right? It at least brought it to the limelight. Jonathan Walker, I always love to see how far back I am. I don't want to get too far behind. Wow, I'm pretty far. Always loved Transformers, collected figures here and there, but COVID brought me back. COVID, wow, that's interesting. Spending so much time at home in my office. Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense. You had time to collect. You have time to play with the toys. You're at home. Might as well get some Transformers. BBO3, can't remember stop motion. Continue with mainline stuff. Got into MP, NPM, and so on. Yeah, I haven't really got into NPM. I have a few. I've reviewed them all the NPMs, but they're not really for me. Michael Rogers says, so being an 80s kid, I had a collection of Transformers and GoBots. Oh man, I wish I had both of those. I had a couple GoBots. Some of the neighborhood kids had some as well. Fast forward to my time in the Navy, started watching Armada. So I never saw Armada either. By that time, I was kind of like not really enjoying the cartoon, but I've heard some people say good things about Armada. Hey, what's up, Deluxe? Thanks for joining. Oh, 37 people watching, only 10 likes. That's okay. I'll get more likes later, but thanks for watching and liking. Whoever's done, hit that like button. I appreciate that. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for anything but sharing my content and hitting the like button. And thanks, Deluxe, for joining. Michael Rogers got me into picking up some Armada toys. Oh, that's cool. I haven't picked up any Armada. I've never seen an Armada toy. Then I got married. The collection disappeared. It was given away. Yeah, when I got married, luckily my wife was okay with it. And, you know, she got me this. So that kept me going. But, yeah, having a partner that supports it is really important. Saraf says, I collected McDonald's Beast Wars toys. That's interesting. And Armada. I'm a 90s kid, so there were too many good cartoons to just buy from one. But it wasn't until Unicron Trilogy that I started to collect. I sold it all. Oh, man. Yeah, so McDonald's toys was interesting. I've never heard of anybody getting into it with McDonald's toys, but they had some good toys. I got to say, McDonald's did a good number on Transformers. Daniel Sanchez, I fell in love with Transformers G1 when the series was aired in Puerto Rico. I was in 6th grade. Okay, that's cool. Did it air later in Puerto Rico? I can't tell from your comment, but I'm guessing it aired later than 1980s, 1985, 86. Mike Ryder still watch cartoons and such, but didn't get into any more toys. Let's see, James, I'm still a young man. I've been collecting for 33 years. I'm 50. Wow, that's a long time to be collecting. I've only been collecting for about, I'd say, real hardcore collecting with this, what you see behind you, you know, maybe 10 years. Not much longer than that. All right, let me skip ahead a little bit. Saraf says, started 10 years ago. Yeah, for me, I started about 10 years ago because I could never get over the Cybertron Starscream design. Bought the Japanese version, and well, 10 years later, my house is Cybertron. That's funny. That's cool. Yeah, the Cybertron designs are interesting. We still haven't gotten any from Hasbro. It's kind of weird. The Masterpiece line hasn't delved into the Cybertron. That's a whole nother realm they could go. Cybertron designs for their Masterpiece. Hey, what's up, Marauding Mouse? Marauding Mouse says, my buddy bought me an MPO1 as a present when I got out of grad school. I've been lighting money on fire ever since. Yeah, so MPO1 really was like the beginning of a line, which I never thought they would make a line. I didn't even know this was going to make a line. I thought this was a one-time thing. And I said, okay, I'll get it for sure. And then when I found out this is continuing, I was like, I have to get this. I have to buy this. So the YouTube thing came much later. I didn't even start my YouTube channel till several years after collecting Masterpiece. All right, let's see. NOI Production says, I got some Armada stuff and then I was hooked. So a couple people, that's the first time I've heard people Armada getting them in. That's very interesting. I didn't know Armada was so catchy. 49ers, yeah, Transformers Prime is the best cartoon since the original G1. I agree with you. I think they really are. It's the best cartoon. I've watched them all now at this point, and Prime is the one that I like the most. To be honest, I just thought they stopped making the toys for whatever reason. I thought that too. I didn't know they were still making good toys, at least. I thought the toys were not so great. I had seen some, but I just didn't really like them. BBO3, I never imagined myself collecting G1 MP, War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron stuff, and hell, even Beast Wars when I was young. Now I'm all over the place. Yeah, I try to focus my collection so I really, just so I'm not spending thousands of dollars, which I already, you know, I'm already doing that. But just so I'm not going too crazy, I stick to G1 That's kind of my lane. Occasionally I go out, out of my lane right here for this stuff behind me, but that's it. I really stick to G1 MP. Otherwise, it's just going to go, it's going to be out of control for me. John Ingalls says, discovering fans toys got me serious, but I've always collected, but not like this. Started back with FT Grimlock. I am an 80s kid. So that's a great point, John. Thanks for bringing that up. So for me, I think fans toys definitely has kept me in. So I wouldn't say they got me started because I didn't even know about fans toys until I would say 4 or 5 years after I started collecting. But once I discovered fans toys, they're like sole company keeping me in. If you think about Takara Tomy, Hasbro, they put out what, one masterpiece a year. Last year we got Hound. Or I guess 2 years ago, 2019 we got Hound. 2020 we got RC. That's really it. I mean, I guess if you count Beast Wars, we're getting more, but we're really not getting a lot. So fans toys is really helping to keep things alive, and that's why I appreciate fans toys so much. Niles, hey, what's up, Niles? I always into the 80s cartoon like everyone else, but for Transformers stuck out for me when Generation 2 came out, the updated cartoons. I began collecting G2 and started the comics. It just continued. That's cool. I haven't heard a lot of people saying much about G2. G2 is kind of very interesting colors. It's very unique. So not everybody has a G2 collection, but that's cool, Niles. I'm glad that got you back in. Dexter says, the figure that got me slightly back into Transformers was KO Hot Rod because I stepped away, but I got back into full throttle when FT Sovereign. Okay, yeah, Sovereign's pretty awesome. He was my first fans toys. Yeah, I guess he is. Fans toys. I can't even do it. Yeah, fans toys is responsible for a lot of people spending thousands of dollars. Niall says, when I started collecting G1 toys, I said, I'm spending all this money. I might as well start Masterpiece. So, yeah, I didn't really get into the G1. I know there's tons of people out there who have gigantic G1 collections. For me personally, the G1 thing kind of stopped when I found Masterpiece. I really felt like I don't need G1. The only G1 I have is my Optimus. I have my original G1 Optimus. But everything else I got rid of or I sold. Like, for example, Power Master Prime, I didn't keep. Any of the other G1s I got rid of because once I had these, I was like, you know what? This is what I envisioned as a kid, that what it would be like. And so I don't need anything else. So I kind of got rid of them. But I can see the draw of collecting G1 for sure. It's just not for me. Hun CCPS, I don't know how to say that. Hun Cups. I got Studio Series Hot Rod, Rodimus Prime, and Jazz. Yeah, those are pretty good. I don't know if you're saying that got you back into collecting or you just bought those. Jonathan Walker, thanks for the review and recommendation on New Supply. I just got my MP36 Megs Blast Effects. Oh, you already bought this? That's interesting. I haven't even reviewed it yet, so I guess you must have been following New Supply. But there's other surprises, so I don't want to show them yet because I'm going to do a review on a bunch of sets. I think he sent me 4 sets of things, which is pretty crazy. Oh, actually, let me show you one thing. So I know I've showed this thing dozens and dozens of times, but since you guys are here live, there's the head. So that's what's new on this guy. And let me take it off. So put it down. So here's the head sculpt. It's a mask, so it's not a full head replacement. So here's what's underneath. It's just hollow. There's a little piece of tissue in there to prevent it from scratching the face. But that's it. The ears do come off. You can take the ears off, and you can actually pose them. So if you wanted to do the shooting pose, you can do that. I am going to do a full review on this guy. I just wanted to show that to you since you guys asked about it or mentioned it. But really nice. You can buy this from New Supply. The link is on my website. If you go to Facebook, my Facebook page, you can find the link for all those parts that I showed off for Jetfire. And you can buy them and make your own G1 Jetfire. All right, sorry, that was a big detour. Let Let me see. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. Daniel Sanchez. It was aired in 1985. I could not purchase them, so only relief was looking at them every time I visited the store. I feel the same way, Daniel. I couldn't buy them. My parents really weren't into buying action figures. I don't know why. They would buy me other stuff like constructs, Legos, cars, but they would not buy Transformers, and I don't know why. It's a weird thing. They just weren't into action figures. Maybe they thought it was a waste of money, but they just wouldn't buy action figures. So strange. Lego Roger likes those Bass effects. Thank you. Dexter, I've been collecting for about 30 years. Wow. And over time, my room and closet started to look like Pig's Closet. I've started selling to sell and refocus my collection. I think refocusing at this age, most of us are in our 30s or 40s, some in the 50s. Refocusing your collection is a good idea so that you can kind of, again, start to enjoy what you're collecting. That's really important. You got to collect and enjoy what you're getting. If you're starting to get to the point where it's stressing you out and you've got too much stuff and you got a closet full of things that you haven't even opened or you can't look at, and it's just taking up all your space, that's not enjoyable. So you want to really decide, what do you want? What do you want to have for your collection? And what's going to make you happy? What's going to bring you joy? The Maria Kondo approach, right? Collect what gives you joy. Hey, TMR, Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom brought me here today. Oh, wow. Okay. Fearless Heart Mark says, I'm 44, by the way. Okay. So Siege, that is the first time I've heard somebody tell me that Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom brought them back in. That's really fascinating to me. That also tells me I should continue reviewing that stuff. I get really low views on Earthrise and Kingdom, unfortunately. Most people come to my channel to watch Masterpiece and Third Party. So I'm really happy to hear that Earthrise and Kingdom is bringing people back into this hobby. That's really good to hear. Thanks, Fearless Heart Mark. Fans Toys, and let's not forget X-Transbots and MMC. Yeah, so yes, those companies are definitely keeping things going. I'm happy to have those third-party companies. Holy cow, I'm so far behind. I'm going to have to skip some of your comments. I'm sorry. Just for the record, I also collect Figmas and Nendroids. My collection on this is probably bigger than my Transformers. Yeah, I'm not going to get into other collections today just because that's going to get our conversation way off track. Why the creepy thumbnail? So let me ask that question to you guys. Does anybody in the comments know what that thumbnail is? I'll let you guys think about that for a second. But that thumbnail is Transformers related. If you don't know what it is, think back to the 1980s commercials. I'm just looking to see if anybody gets it. I'll move on and I'll come back to that. Just started collecting again for Earthrise and Siege. Yeah, I got your comment. Started since MPO1, then Binaltex. Oh yeah, Binaltex and alternators. Yeah, Binaltex were awesome, but it sucked that you had to buy it from Japan. It's much more expensive. Then all went downhill from there. Recently I've lost streak. Sold all of my collection already. Now I've got a handful. Yeah, sometimes you need to kind of restart and refocus. BBO3, Quake Break, I think you mean Quake Wave, was my first FT figure for me. Yeah, I missed Quake Wave and I went back and got him later. My first FT was secondhand Tesla. I like Tesla a lot, but you gotta be careful with it. Chioke? This guy from my church introduced me to it by lending me his DVDs of the G1 show when I was 5. And around the same time I watched TF07. He bought me my first FT. I haven't stopped since. Wow, okay, that's cool. It's always nice when you have friends that can lend you stuff. David Turco says, third party has kept Masterpiece line going now, for sure. Absolutely. I wonder if Takara would have kept going. If it wasn't for third party, they might have stopped. I collected for G1 for a very long time, 84 to 09. I can say the MP line is the best. I agree. I knew he was going to pull the helmet out. Yeah, I had to show the helmet. I'm going to do a full review on everything with that guy, but I just wanted to show it. Big guy, do you have Generation Shockwave? I thought I seen it on your shelf. No, I don't have Generation 1. Everything I have is Masterpiece. Unfortunately, the only Generation 1 I have is Optimus. So Jersey's finest, thanks for coming. Seeing Hasbro's masterpiece Soundwave MP04 in Toys R Us, I just remembered how happy as the kid the G184 Soundwave made me feel. I've been buying Masterpiece ever since. I never saw Masterpiece Soundwave in the store. That thing flew off the shelves. It was impossible to get it. I ended up getting the Takara, the Japanese version. I still like that one, but yeah, that Soundwave, you know, when that hit the stores, thing was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thanks for that comment. Okay, I have fallen so far behind. I'm going to have to skip way ahead. So let's see. Jonathan Walker, Transformers because the boy starts talking like a Transformer. Yes, that's exactly what the picture, the thumbnail is from. So he says robots in disguise in like the Transformers voice, and his eyes light up green. It's super creepy, but it's from a Transformers commercial. The reason I brought that obviously is because, you know, that's what got us into collecting, is those commercials way back when in the 1980s. Yeah, I wonder where that kid is too. I don't know what happened to him. I wonder if he looks anything like that. Dr. Dr. Street. When I found out my parents got rid of my childhood collection, I started looking again, stumbled on Fan Toys and Insecticons when they just came out. I got too many now, according to the wife. Yeah, so my wife has given up on, you know, because she kind of got me into this. She got me started. It's her fault. So she can't blame me because I keep buying stuff. I wish I had gotten in when the Fans Toys Insecticons. I didn't even know Fans Toys was a thing. And I really want these Insecticons. I can't find them for less than like $800. And that's just way too much. But I definitely want to buy them. I'm actively looking for the Fans Toys Insecticons because it's the one I missed out on. And I really want to get them. Thanks for that story, DR. Daniel says, anyone has or had Micronauts back then? They were Americanized version of Microman. Yeah, Micronauts were like little tiny figures that went inside of the Transformers. They were pretty cool. I think they're re-releasing or kind of making new versions of that, which is kind of cool. Dexter, that was a kid from the Transformers. Yes, he transforms into a Transformer. Just checking in. Hello from NYC. I still have 2 Mitten Seal Box Vinyl Tech. Oh, Vinyl Tech is awesome. The thing about Vinyl Tech that was really cool was the die cast. When you felt and held that die cast, that really brought you back to the 1980s when toys were built like that. I loved that when I got my first Vinyl Tech. I sold them all now, but Vinyl Tech was really cool. Fancy Cinegang says, Combiner Wars brought new back after years of nothing after the 80s movie. Then got a third party later last year because of the Zeta Boys in Superion and Bruticus. I've decided to focus on MP combiners now. Yeah, I like the combiners. That's interesting. I never have heard somebody say Combiner Wars. I'm actually happy I did this because I'm hearing so many different stories of how people got back into it. And Combiner Wars were cool because they had a lot of G1 characters, but they just weren't quite right to me. Earthrise has now corrected that, whatever, you know, Combiner Wars did. I think they're really making some amazing stuff right now in the retail line. But that's cool that you got back in with Combiner Wars. Thanks for sharing that. What's up, Litton? In case you guys don't know, this is my brother-in-law. Who is your favorite Transformer? It should be somewhat obvious, but it's this guy right here, Jetfire. This is a custom-made version of Jetfire, but Jetfire is my favorite, if you didn't know. Second only to Optimus Prime, so I'm pretty boring. Jetfire and Optimus Prime are my favorites. I might even ask you guys what your favorites are. So, Last Prime, I was with you when you started with Vinyl Techs as well. Then War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games kicked it into overdrive. So I never got to play the games. I've heard a lot of good things about the games, and I also heard a lot of people get back into it with the video games. So that's pretty cool. AOG Shock says, my first third party was Unique Toy Springer. Ah, that's interesting. Unique Toy Springer wasn't the best. I guess it was good at the time. It was really good at the time, but it hasn't aged well, unfortunately. Aaron Scott, what's up, Aaron? Aaron comments and likes every single video I put out. So what's up to Aaron? You should get, you know, a I don't know, your name on my videos every time, because I've never seen anybody that likes and comments as much as you do. So I appreciate that. Aaron says, I never stopped collecting Transformers because they're the coolest. I'm a very selective collector. Yeah, I'm also very selective, but I definitely had a 20-year period where I didn't collect anything at all. And I did miss it, but I was doing other stuff in that time period. Don Guapismo says, I found out about FT through collecting Voltron. I had no idea the third-party thing was a thing. Now I'm all in on their Menasor. Yeah, me too. I love their Menasor. Those Stunicons, those cars are amazing. I love them. T-Man 978. Hey, what's up, T-Man? Thanks for joining. The free Beast Wars Season 2 promo at KB. Oh, I remember KB Toy Store. What a great toy store that was. Made me start collecting. So I don't know what you're talking about. Free? They were giving away free stuff at KB? You really got to explain more about that, because I'm interested. Don says, I started collecting officially with Macross. So Macross was, if you don't know, they were robots that transformed into jets, and they were pretty cool. It was kind of related, but not related to Transformers in a way. T-Man says, Beast Wars made me start collecting them. Okay, cool. That's why you love Beast Wars so much. I never got into Beast Wars, but I can see why people love Beast Wars so much. Holy cow, far behind again. Started collecting Transformers. Mr. Magma. God, I almost misread that, Mr. Maga. Started collecting Transformers when the second live-action Transformers movie came out, because Jetfire was my favorite character, and that movie was also very funny. I did watch that movie. I think you're talking about Revenge of the Fallen. It was interesting. Some of the script was kind of weird. Megan Fox was a little odd too for me, but Transformers movie definitely reignited the franchise. Nobody can say that it wasn't part of that. I think they really helped. Professor D says, I started in 1984, took a hiatus from 86 to 87 until 2015, and started back in MPs, but always kept and displayed my original collection in most of my places in my life. Yeah, unfortunately, I lost my original collection, so I had a lot of cousins growing up, and it just got passed down to them, and they broke them all, and I never got them back. So I lost pretty much anything I ever had was gone. Pig for Life says, if any of you say because of last night movie, I will ban you. That's a good point. By the way, T-Man978 and Pig for Life are mods on my channel, so they do have the power to ban you. So be careful what you say. Saraf says, hey, thanks for joining, Pig. Saraf says, do you have doubles of each in your figure? I can't seem to stop doing this. I can't stand to have any issues on my figure, so I never open one. How about you? Saraf, I collect doubles of fans' toys only. Usually I buy from two different places. I obviously get it from Toy Dojo. Toy Dojo is my channel partner, so I always buy from them. And then I buy a second one from somewhere else. So, yeah, I buy two because just in case. I've been really lucky. I've never had an issue. The reason I'm buying two now is because I want one for combined mode, one for robot mode. So I do buy two for that purpose. But generally speaking, I only have one of everything in my collection. One figure per character, basically. I'm going to jump ahead. T-Man 97 says, last night made me stop collecting. That's funny. I really hated the movies. They actually turned me off too, but it didn't really get me to start or stop, to be honest. All right, I'm going to jump way past all these crazy comments. I deleted that free video comment. That is weird. Yeah, I want to know more about those free figures from KB Toys. I really want to know more about that. So tell us what you mean. What do you mean free toys? Free Beast Wars toys? Yeah, I'm interested. Lord Megatron, hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. My first Transformer was G1 Prowl, and I was hooked. I stopped collecting almost 10 years ago and sold everything. Discovered War for Cybertron line top of the last year, and now I have almost every figure. Yeah, so War for Cybertron has been really good. I think Hasbro has reignited their popularity with the fandom, with the War for Cybertron line. I really think they did an amazing job. I'm so happy that Hasbro and the main line have gotten us, a lot of people back into collecting. I wanted to just mention something about this guy. This is the MMC. This thing is a one-off. So I don't collect this. I don't collect any IDW stuff. But this is the kind of stuff that gets people started down a path. This thing is so good that it has me considering IDW. Like, I don't collect IDW. I've looked at IDW stuff on my channel before, but generally speaking, I sell it. I don't keep it, or I trade it. But this is so good that I've actually started considering, should I have IDW stuff? So I just wanted to mention that. If you're not into IDW, that's a really good one. Michael Roger, we don't talk about Revenge of the Fallen. I agree. Let's not talk about it. BPO 1975 says, my friends and I started watching with GoBots. First bus on the word of the fourth grade playground was about this new type of toy that made GoBots look simple and childish. Transformers was cool, fourth graders. Yeah, I agree. Transformers made GoBots look dumb. I did like GoBots, but when Transformers came along, GoBots became the cheap knockoff, basically. Megan Fox revitalized Transformers. I don't think so. She was eye candy for the movie, but I don't think she was really responsible. Moment of silence for KB Toys. Yeah, and then Toys R Us. That is sad. It's sad that all the toy stores. I have like one toy store left in my mall near me. It's like a local one. It's not a mass retail. It is really sad. KB Toys and Toys R Us are gone now. Pig for Life. I still enjoyed the first Bayverse movie. Sequels just kept getting worse and worse until Bumblebee. I agree with that. Yeah, the movies really turned me off until Bumblebee. I really liked Bumblebee. Damon Croy says, I was born in 92, so Beast Wars was my thing. I wish I got into Beast Wars. I want to get back and watch season 2. Paik and T-Man keep telling me to get back into season 2. Appreciate G1 even more. It's my main collection. I was lucky to be able to watch G1 as a kid. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say Beast Wars, so you're not alone, Damon. Professor D, feel for your loss. I know most guys weren't able to keep their collections from childhood. I had a huge comic collection, including all the Transformers and G.I. Joe comics, and they were stolen. Oh, that's even worse. I would have rather it went to somebody that could play with it, like my cousins or my, siblings. In some cases, you give it to your siblings. But getting stolen sucks. That's just the worst way to lose it. Ethan on the internet. Hey, thanks for joining. I don't recognize your name, so I'm assuming you're here for the first time. Originally, I didn't like Transformers because of Bayverse movies. We got into collecting because they discovered the G1 cartoon. Oh, that's cool. So I guess Bayverse is what introduced you to it, but then you later went back and found G1. Sounds like that's what happened. But I'm happy that people are getting back into it. That's great. Edward Lucas. Sorry, I need a drink. It's 9:45, so I'm going to go for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to call it for today. Got into Henki Takara Tomy. Henki is the Japanese versions, if you're not familiar. In 2009. From that line, I bought Sunstreaker, Hot Rod, and Bumblebee, bought through Hobby Link Japan. Yeah, all those Japanese ones are really cool. I think now that Takara and Hasbro are together, they're not making separate things anymore. Whatever gets released in Japan is exactly the same here in the United States. I kind of like that because then I'm not off trying to find this Japanese version that's impossible to get. But the Henki stuff is definitely cool. Fancy Cinegang says, yeah, Combiners were my favorite subgroup, which is why Combiner Wars brought me back in. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Michael Roger, I recently met a collector who said he got back into collecting because of IDW comics. That's interesting. So the comics are really like one-off. Not a lot of people read or know about the comics, so that's interesting that brought him back in. Kind of cool. BPO 1977. My parents bought G1 Optimus for me in 1984 Christmas from KB Horrorland Square Mall in Chicagoland. I was excited. I ran out of the store of the box, which hadn't paid for yet. Mom stopped me. Oh, that's cool. I think my G1 Optimus I got as a pass-me-down. Here's T-Man. KB was giving me a free VHS with each purchase of a Beast Wars figure. It had the first 2 episodes of Beast Wars Season 2. That's so cool. I never knew about that. I wish I had gotten into that, because that would have kept me into Beast Wars, honestly. Had I known that, I probably would have watched it. Not only would I have watched it, I would have had a figure, you know? All right, I just jumped ahead a whole bunch. Hey, Gregory Dykus. He's a local to me. He lives in Albany, New York, where I'm from. Says, Megatron was my first Transformer back in 1984-85. War for Cybertron got me back in. Yeah, thanks for joining, Greg. Yeah, I got excited when War for Cybertron came back out. To be honest, though, it was Masterpiece line that got me in, but I'm definitely happy that War for Cybertron is making such good figures now. It's really reinvigorating the brand. Steve says we still have Toys R Us in Toronto. Oh my God, I wish we had it here. I don't know why they took it away. Although I think it's like it's owned by a new company now. It's not under Toys R Us. It's some other parent company that owns Toys R Us. What's up, Primus Productions? I don't remember my first figure or how I got into Transformers, because it was almost 11 years ago. But what got my full attention was Dark of the Moon, and I have a few masterpieces. I prefer the mainline figures. Wow, okay. That's cool. Dark of the Moon, I remember seeing a few figures, but I definitely didn't buy that many from that one. Dykus says, my 86 movie is still the best Transformers movie. I agree with that. Me personally, I love the 86 movie. I didn't get to see it until an adult, which is weird. But Mr. Magma, my first figure was Leader Jetfire, but it broke and fell many times. And I've replaced my collection with SS Studio Series and War for Cybertron Trilogy. Yeah, that Leader Jetfire was really cool looking, but it was also kind of flimsy and clumsy. All right, I'm going to take a couple more comments, and then we're going to call it for today. This is really fun and fascinating for me. I hope you guys are enjoying this. For me, it's really fun to hear from you guys and kind of hear your stories and like what got you back into collecting. Dark Clark Kent. I actually started around this time last year. Being ignorant to MP Masterpiece, I only saw mainline figures in the store. I wasn't impressed until I got Studio Series Bay Grimlock. From there, I discovered Masterpiece and was hooked. So that's really interesting. You weren't aware of Masterpiece and got in on Studio Series. So Studio Series is kind of a separate line from Masterpiece for those that don't know. Those are in Target and Walmart right now if you're trying to collect those. All right, I'll take a few more. We are at home, have always enjoyed your show and shows and love your collection. Keep it up. God bless your family. Good night. Oh, thanks, James. Appreciate that. That's really kind of you. Prince Raw D. What's up, Prince? Got back into collecting after watching the Lazy Eyebrow. Lazy Eyebrow is really cool if you haven't seen his reviews. Also, Cardboard Bots. I don't know why I associate those two, but Cardboard Bots, another really cool reviewer on YouTube if you're interested. Did not know these type of figures existed until his channel opened my eyes. Awesome. Professor D, my first were Sunstreaker and Thundercracker for Christmas 1984 or 85. Anyway, I was hooked from there, and when I got MP Sunstreaker and Thundercracker, those were special to me for that reason. Yeah, so that's kind of how I went to. I got the Optimus way back then, and then I found the Masterpiece, and I'm hooked. All right, that's really it for tonight. Coming up this week, we'll be taking a look at all those weapons effects parts. I have a ton of weapons effects, not just that Jetfire. I might as well I'll just give it away. So I've got Masterpiece Megatron. He's going to have a bunch of effects. I'm going to do that together with the Transform element, so I'll do those two. The next set will be Fans Toys Thomas, which is their version of Astro Train, and Fans Toys Sheridan. So those two have some effects parts. And then finally, we're going to take a look at, oh boy, forgot now. Well, I'll leave one as a surprise. So you'll get to see all those figures coming up this week. I also have some retail stuff, so we'll take a look at some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and some of the Cyberverse stuff on my channel next week. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy your night, and we'll see you next time.